Hello, my name is Grin, and this is my beard. Well, welcome to Grin's Beard. I'm using these videos as a way of using the Feynman technique in order to talk about, not so much teach, but talk about things that are on my mind to help myself understand all these things that I'm thinking about. Today, I'm going to just basically introduce. I live in Japan. I came here under the pretense of doing something different and writing about it and becoming a travel writer. Had the idea to do all kinds of different travel writing. It didn't really pan out. Back then, blogs were a thing and travel blogging was a thing, but that died out pretty quickly, and so I was stuck. What do I do? Nobody wants to read these stories so much anymore. Nobody wants to post these things on blogs, and nobody wants to visit the blogs. And there's no money in it. So, since I'm in Japan, and I really like it in Japan, it's very comfortable for me in many ways. We can talk about that later, or I can talk about that later. But I decided to become a teacher because it's the job that any English speaking native can easily get into in Japan, especially if you don't actually have any Japanese language ability. At the time, I basically didn't. I knew how to say, "Where is the toilet" in Japanese, which is "O tearai wa doko desu ka?" At any rate, I also knew one other phrase, which was this word or this thing. How do you say this in Japanese? So, for instance, let's not do this one. There's so many different words for this. Let's say, there we go. How do you say this in Japanese? In Japanese, you would say, これは日本語で何と言いますか? And that phrase was the way that I learned all the new Japanese that I speak today. The only training that I had before I came, I took a small course in Japanese and didn't really get anything out of it except "O tearai wa doko desu ka?" Where's the toilet? And how to make the sounds of the Japanese. A, I, U, E, O, kakiku, keko, sashi, suse, so, toka. Those things. So I'm able to speak a little bit clearer Japanese than most foreign, non-Japanese Japanese speakers. But my grammar is still terrible. And the point of all that was to survive, to be successful. Obviously, if I'm going to be in Japan, I'm going to need to know some Japanese. So, got to learn how to speak it. And I want to be successful. So, the most beneficial way, or the best way for a native English speaker in Japan to be successful, is to become an English teacher. But I learned quickly that working for other people, especially in Japan, isn't isn't great. To put it mildly, it's not it's not great, because no matter how good your ideas or what you think is right, you still have to do what you do the way you're told to do, or they'll just find someone else. You'll lose your job. So, I learned how to do what was needed of me. And in Japan, it's a society where they expect you to go above and beyond, but don't expect to give you any sort of accolades or reward for your extra work. It's just what you do, and then naturally over time, you'll just go up. So you start off as the janitor, and over time you'll end up being a salesperson, and then over time, just through age, you'll become a regional manager, then maybe a manager, and then maybe higher than that. But it's just over time as the top goes down or retires, then the people below go up. That was the way it was, and where you had jobs that were lifelong jobs in Japan. You get hired onto a company and you start off at the bottom, and over time, as you get older, the top retires and you just go up. That doesn't really happen so much anymore, especially now. But I learned that in order to really be happy and to do the job the way I want to do, I have to be my own boss. So I created my own business. I have my own English school in Japan. And a large part of that success goes to my Japanese wife, who really seriously helped me get to that final goal of having my own business and running my own business. However, in the end, it's still not really enough. The English teaching salary, the base English teaching salary, has not kept up with inflation, has not kept up with living expenses. When I first came, the average salary of a English teacher was about 2.5 million yen, which I guess would be about, at that time it was about $25,000 to $30,000 a year, and that was decent then. Now the average pay is around the same, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around 2,500,000 yen a year, but it's still 2,500,000 yen a year, and everything else has just gone up. Inflation has increased the prices of everything, but has not been addressed in English teaching salaries. It's still the same, hasn't changed in the 15 years I've been in Japan, 15 or more years. So being an English teacher isn't the best way to go. If you're planning on coming to Japan, just know that if you want to stay, you probably don't want to stay as an English teacher working for someone else. You either want to be your own boss and create your own thing, or you want to try to do something else. But English teaching is a very easy way to get into Japan if you just really want to learn about another culture or go somewhere that's completely different. Why Japan? For me, I could have gone anywhere. I could have gone to China. I could have gone to Korea. And I'm saying all these Asian countries because the whole point of what I wanted was to go somewhere that had a completely different lifestyle, culture from my culture, being that I'm from America. Wanted to go somewhere where I could learn how a culture that is almost opposite can function and just be a better communicator in that way. And China's, I'm not really particular about the whole communism and socialism. Don't really like it. It seems really bad. South Korea is a little bit too close to North Korea. uh, yeah, it doesn't seem very safe. Although I've met many people who have lived and worked in South Korea who said it was wonderful. I'm sure it would be. It's just the looming threat, and it bothers me. It's not safe to me. So Japan was kind of like the best pick. I could go to a country that has a completely different idea of how to live and what life is about, and culture is just completely different from American culture. Almost, yeah, opposite, basically opposite in many ways. In many ways, not always, but many ways. And it's safe, and the economy is good. And when I say safe, it's extremely safe compared to, my home country of America. Whereas in the United States, I had a car, all of my cars got broken into. I've had all of them, every single one of the cars I've ever owned in America broken into and stolen from. Uh, Here in Japan, most people don't even lock their car doors. And a big reason for that is you steal a car in America, you've got a lot of places to take it to in order to sell it and get some money. But in Japan, it's an island, so if you steal from a car or steal a car, there's not really anywhere you can go except in Japan to try and sell that stolen property, which makes it much less likely that you'll be successful. Whereas if I was a car thief in California or Arizona, I'd just take the car down to Mexico and sell it there. Easy money, I guess. In Japan, what are you gonna do? Rent a boat? It's not so easy. So things like that. It's an island country, so everybody has to rely on each other because we don't have the resources uh, available on our borders or the opportunities that countries that have borders with other countries might have. But it also means that Japan is a very homogenous society. So everybody's Japanese. And if you're not Japanese, well, then you're not Japanese. And it's very obvious. When I walk into a room, people look at me and they know right away, oh, he's a foreigner. And that doesn't change. It can't change because of the way I look. Even if I renounced my American citizenship and became Japanese, a Japanese citizen, people would still treat me like I'm a foreigner. Oh, you're a foreigner. That'll never change. I'll never be Japanese. Just isn't going to happen. So, c'est la vie. Living that life. But Japan is basically safe. And being a foreigner in Japan is basically safe. And the economy is good. Best place to go would be Japan. Now, if you're a stronger person than I am, maybe you could go to China and make it successful, or to South Korea or any other Asian country if you're really trying to find a different, completely opposite, or just very estranged, very strange culture from your own to learn from. So that's my story, why I'm in Japan. Now, why am I doing this? I am doing these videos for me so that I can have a place to talk and think about what's going on in my mind and hopefully become a better person by better understanding my own circumstances. If this helps you, whoever's watching this, that's great. Uh, Fantastic. And if you want to have a conversation with me, that's also great. Go ahead, leave comments. Maybe I'll start a Discord or something like that where we can all share ideas and whatnot, topics and whatnot. Don't know. It's not the big thing right now. The big thing is just having a place to speak my mind, talk about things, and learn from myself by trying to understand my own thoughts. That's what these videos are about. Thanks for watching this video. So in the end, I don't really care if you hit the like or dislike or make a comment or anything like that. This is for me. This is something that I'm doing for myself. If it becomes popular, fantastic. If it doesn't, I don't care. What I do care about is understanding my own thoughts. Maybe you have some insight. Maybe you can help me. That'd be cool. Until next time.